All right, you guys see it? We got our kicker, amp, and bass package. We are going to be fitting this into the car today, and it's going to be a little tricky. Might be different in your guys' setup. Just want to say, first off, I am a DIY. I do know what I'm doing, but do it at your own extent, please, guys. Be very careful, mindful of what you do with your vehicles. I know I had some weird comments really quick on a video doing an oil change. Obviously, yes, do not put 6 quarts of oil. I don't know who would even commonly sense to do that. If you guys put a little bit of oil, as long as you're not drowning your engine out, should be totally fine. In my Kia Spectra, I always put 5 quarts of oil, and that thing lasted 5 years until it got into an accident and was totaled. So, back to today's DIY video. We're going to be installing the amp and subwoofer into a factory stereo. We're going to be using RCA cables and splicing those into the vehicle. So previously we had this installed into my 2019 Nissan Versa. It is up on the channel as well. And what we did was, well, actually what a shop did was they took the wrapping, which is a negative, positive, connected them to speaker wires, so I can see right here, and took our fuse taps and tapped into the factory speakers. So we're going to do the same exact thing today. We're going to take our fuse taps blue, and we are going to go inside here. We have one little tweeter that we're going to tap into. We have another tweeter over here that we're going to tap into. So we have left, positive and negative, left, positive and negative, negative being the red, green being the negative. So we're going to tap into all those and route everything nice and neat. We do have our air compressor and everything installed in here. We are not going to be piggybacking off of this positive wire right over here. However, though, we are going to be routing a wire all the way into underneath. So we do have to tear apart the inside just to route the positive wire for this one. So we're going to take apart the seats. We're going to take apart a few things in the vehicle just to go ahead and route everything. So we have our bass knob, remote cable, and also our positive cable, which are all going to be routed to the front of the vehicle and cleaned up all throughout here. We are going to be routing the air compressor wire turn on to the same exact tap with the remote. It's all going to be routed out to the cigarette lighter. Cigarette lighters in positive, currency always with the accessory key turned on. So no matter what, it's going to power both things without shorting out anything or having any kind of issues. Let's first off pop the hood so we can disconnect the battery, so we're not going to get any kind of shorts or get electrocuted while doing this. So we have our positive lead right over here. It's kind of twisted because that's where we have the air compressor routed out to. So we're just going to go ahead and get our 10 millimeter and carefully take this off. So lefty loosey, righty tighty. And it's always key important, guys, any kind of electronics you are doing, always please start by first removing any kind of connection to the battery. Now I do have a video on how we did this entire interior, so I'm not going to do a how-to on this, just to save some time and also for you guys view time. If you want to check it out, it's on the YouTube channel where we did the entire interior to install the air ride suspension. So I'm going to catch you guys. I'm going to get all this ripped off and the centerpiece kind of removed with all the wires underneath. All right, so now with everything carefully kind of taken apart, we have it loose enough to where we have some access now to go ahead and run our wires from underneath the seat all the way up over here. And our game plan today is to take our original power wire, take this normal 1-to-1 distributor, and we're going to do a 2-to-1 distributor. And that looks something like this. So we're going to get our hex keys, open this baby up, and mount this inside. Well, technically it's not mounted. It's going to be free floating inside here. It looks like a whole mess, but it all works out at the end of the day. Alright, so painstakingly got the Y splitter in. Now I have to go back underneath, take this wire out, and carefully replace it with one of the red wires, so that way I can extend it just a little bit further to connect to the Y fitting. Now it's funny, oddly enough, the one to the 0 gauge, this is 4 gauge. The 0 gauge is also a Y splitter. However, though, we have a mini wire block in here somewhere to where our air compressor is plugged into. So that got me thinking, this is an always on. Once I turn the car on, it's connected straight to the battery. Then it's connected to the relay that also turns on the air pump. So my plan is actually going to get an on and off switch later on for our air compressor. For now, I'm going to just plug it in when I do need air to air up the car, when I air it down. And that's the plan for this one, going a little off topic. So we're going to get our RC cable, run it from the amp to right over here into that distributor, which is going to be down here. So we're going to plug our RC cable in that distributor down there and run that wire to the very back for the amp. All right, so to keep you guys up to speed, just in case you guys are lost, we do have a nice amount of wire running from the back of the vehicle to the front of the vehicle. Now this is going to be for RC, so pretend the car turns on, the amp's going to turn on, so that way you can have nice bass. This is going to be our main source of power to tell the amp to turn on or off. So we have this one routed all the way to the back. You can see that little blue tip right over there, and also our positive wire is also routed to the back, and even our bass knob wire is routed to the back. Now all the magic is all underneath here. We have our relay switch right over here for our air compressor, and that's also going to be this random long wire right over here. This one we're still going to keep kind of just out in the open until we can figure out a really good area to get an on and off switch for this. And this one, we're going to go ahead and tap that one into this one right over here. Yo, not a smart idea to hook it up to that distributor block. Just saying, guys, cutting in the vlog. Hook it up to the positive wire of the cigarette lighter, so that way when the accessory mode turns on, that's going to turn on. So it's not always hooked up to a positive lead. Constant power is bad. It's going to vibrate the subwoofer. So now we just have it hooked up to the cigarette lighter. Back to the DIY vlog. For our bass knob, we're going to take these two screws and we're going to mount our bass knob up here. There will always be a change of plans. Went ahead and unscrewed one of these screws here just to go ahead and attach the bass knob right up there. It's a little loose, but I don't have to drill another hole into the plastic. And we don't have a drill right now. We only have a knife, a screwdriver, a bigger knife, and die cutters. So now we've pretty much got everything wrapped up over here. Our positive leads, our remote leads, and our bass knob. Those are the three main components that we're going to be stealing from up here. Now we have to head to the trunk to where we're going to start mounting up our amp and also the subwoofer wires and all the other fun stuff in the trunk. So I'll catch you guys in the backspace. So for our amp mount setup, we have a nice little piece of wood, and it's cool with this wood because we don't need any kind of drill. We just need a ratchet, or if you have a drill, by all means, please, more power to you. But it's as simple as that. We have two setter screws on there. It's a little crooked and wonky, but I trust this with my life. It's not going to fall out. It's not going to strip over time. The air tank is mounted up like that, and that's a 5-gallon tank. That's a big turkey. It's still heavily mounted up on there. Hasn't slipped out. So I have this thing just loosely mounted. One screw there, one screw there. Now we can adjust it and make it a little more straighter, but I'm not tripping about that because we are running out of time to install this into the vehicle. More neighbors are waking up. So now, if anything, we have our positive and the negative and our remote RC cable. So now all those wires that we routed from the front of the car to the back of the car, we're going to go ahead and start mounting all those wires up. And we are going to take our speaker wires, positive and negative, 1 and 1, to our subwoofer, positive and negative. So that's going to handle the bottom part. For the top part, that's going to be our left and right inputs to where we're going to take our daisy cables. And I'm going to show you guys how to crimp and get this same exact thing on this side. So the way how these work is once we put these onto our main cable where we're tapping into, it's going to pop out with this little thing right here. So with this little thing right here, we can go ahead and take our RC cables and plug it straight into here to where it's going to give us a connection for our reception. So we have the connectors here. We're going to go ahead and take one into the hole. And once it's fished through, then we're gonna get crimper, and we're gonna take the blue color and we're just gonna clamp it right down. Be careful of your fingers and tighten her down until it ain't coming out. So that's it. That's a simple way how to crimp the cables, guys. You want to tug on it just a little bit, not too much, because you still want to make sure that you don't tug it out of its spot. So now we're just gonna take the same tool, pull a little bit off over here. There we go. Now we have enough for another cable connector. And if this is too tight, we're just going to simply splice the main loom and get more space. Now tug on that guy. There we go. That's as easy as that. Alright, so we have everything loosely mocked up right now. We have our negative and positive hooked up there. It is mounted to where if these cables do disconnect, it's not going to be touching any metal. I was going to try to route the wire all the way through here, but that just took too much work, so we kind of have just sloppy out there. It looks a little weird. I don't like it, but it's okay. It does it for now. We have the positive, negative over there. Now, in a worst case situation, if these wires don't work, we'll flip them around. I'm pretty sure red is positive, green is negative, purple would be our negative, pink is going to be our positive. By speaker wire charts, that should be it. We have the rest of the wire loom tucked inside the hole there. Now we're going to hook up these guys, get our power wire hooked up and our remote wire, make sure everything works before we button everything up. Alright, so the magic back here, we had to improvise with our 0 gauge to down to a 4 gauge. And we have the positive wire hooked up, negative wires hooked up, our remote wires hooked up, our left and right inputs hooked up. Now if this is backwards, we're always going to go around and change everything up. Worst case situation, we get a lot of feedback. It's nothing too crazy. Now we're going to hook up our speaker loosely. So let's get our wire and hook that up. And now for the moment of truth. We're going to go ahead and hook this bad boy back up. And we should get some spark. That's totally normal from our live battery. We're not going to tighten it down. We're just going to make sure everything works. Got the car on. Now, so far there hasn't been any crazy static booms. We got everything hooked up there, nothing crazy going on. We do have a good light saying that it is powered. So now we're gonna see if we can get the amplifier to turn on. All right, can confirm, guys, we are A1 with our sound system. Almost rattled everything off of the speaker, but now that everything is all 100%, now we're going to button everything up, make everything look cute, put this back into a rightful spot. Now, the issue that I came across while doing all this was, why isn't the bass hitting as hard as I want it? And that is because our bass knob was plugged in all the way. Now we have our bass knob little headphone jack kind of unplugged a little bit, so it's hitting a lot more better. So now with all this hooked up, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect our battery, cover everything up, clean up all the grounds, rebutton everything up, and we should be able to give you guys a nice little sound clip afterwards. Of course, we don't want that copyright, so we're only gonna get about 4 seconds into it. Come on now, stop being stubborn. Look at that, she just wants to be buttoned up. So let me get everything buttoned up, guys, and I'm gonna get you with a sound clip right after this. Super difficult installation. Honestly, installing this one was much more difficult than installing the air ride. Shockingly enough, no pun intended, because air rides are shocks. Bada bing, bada boom. Got this all cleaned up, tucked in. Bass knob is right here, looking good. As far as the floors, don't worry about that, guys. It's not part of the channel. We're gonna DIY clean that on another day. Now let's go ahead and head to the back and clean up that stuff. Alakazam, just like that. She's all hooked up back here. We got our remote cable, RC cables down here. We got the power and negative and other remote cable. Funny. One's a bass knob remote. The other one's a RC cable to turn on and off the amp. So now we have these wires disconnected. We're gonna put our cargo mat inside. Then I'm gonna show you guys everything all inside. Then we're gonna go out for one last bass test. Got the subwoofer in there. Gonna tuck these wires behind the cargo mat. This mat's going to be moving around, I'm pretty sure, but we are still left with a nice amount of space. Really little, just enough for groceries and maybe even our work clothes. So I know this music is copyrighted, guys, but see on the outside right over here, we got a little bit of trunk flex, and check out the badge, a little bit of baby flex. Opening up the hatch, check it out, get everything connected up. Banging, guys, banging. That's how you do it. Now this is gonna have a little bit of vibration when you do turn on the car because it is hooked up to your speakers, so you are gonna get a little bit of feedback here and there. That's just a sacrifice you have to make unless you do get a aftermarket amp, or even with this one you plug the RCA cables into the car itself, but this one is hooked up to the speakers, and that's simply just how you do it. Any questions, comments, comment down below, guys. As always, guys, stay safe and stay chill.